Probably in the life of some of us, things are not going well. There is pain, there is suffering, there is loneliness, and there is bad news. It would be seen that everything is wrong. It would be seen that it was not such a good idea to accept Christ or get involved in serving His work. But why not look at all these things differently? Why not think that all this is part of God's process for our lives? Why not believe that all this is for our good? As the letter to the Romans says, chapter 8, verse 28, God makes all things work together for the good of those who love Him. I want to reflect on the words of the Apostle Paul to the Philippians in chapter 1, verse 6. And he says the following: I am sure that God, who began the good work in you, will keep on working in you until the day Jesus Christ comes again. This verse tells us about work that God begins in our life and that will continue until the day of Christ's coming again. In a summary, Paul tells us about a process. A process is often painful and often incomprehensible. A process that is part of a perfect plan so that God can finish in us the good work that He already began the day we received Him as our Savior. And I said the word incomprehensible because we often want to have control of everything that happens in our life and fully understand the word of the Creator. The prophet Isaiah tells us in chapter 45, verses 8 and 9 the following: For my thoughts are not your thoughts, and my ways are not your ways, say the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. God desires to make us a vessel of honor, a vessel of blessing. But to become that vessel, we must be molded by the divine potter. The grape, while it is a grape, it is not good for much. But when it is processed, it becomes wine, and thus it is good for a lot. Flour, when it's flour, is not very valuable, but after being processed, it becomes bread, which is when it acquires more value. The olive tree, while it is an olive tree, is only good for a little, except when it is processed and becomes oil. So it is good for a lot. When we are processed, you and I become what God truly needs, and that is when we serve a lot. That is why the Apostle Paul said in Romans chapter 8, verse 18, I'm sure that our suffering now cannot be compared to the shining greatness that He is going to give us. Processes break us, but make us new. And that new that He does in us is wonderful and glorious. The process teaches, educates, make us mature, and renew our life. Remember that success, achievements, and glory do not forge our character. Yes, they are good and pleasant, but they do not add to our life. What forges character and defines personality are process. Thank you so much for listening. God bless. Have a great week.